And by real soon, I mean right about now. What is up, guys? Welcome to Bloody Manor. Uh, I'm Doug Castle, and I'm excited to be here for another episode as well as having my panel. Last week we talked about it. This week we are talking about horror musicals. We have a list of musicals that I'm super excited to talk about. First, let's go ahead and introduce the panel as you see them. We're going to go to Alan first. Alan, are you excited to be back in the Bloody Manor? I mean, you didn't leave. Like always, every crew member is here under contract that they are not allowed to leave even after they die. They gotta haunt the place for me. So how's it feel to stretch your legs into the manor now?
Well, it's good to be in a different part of the manor. I had to chew through my calf muscle to get out into so we could watch some different types of films here in the manor. But I'm happy to be here. Happy to talk about these musicals with these fine gentlemen here.
Absolutely, and we're gonna go over to Cameron next. Cameron, this is your first time being on Bloody Manor. We're a brand new show, but are you excited to talk about some horror musicals?
Absolutely. For anyone who doesn't know, I'm a massive musicals person. This is about the only topic you would ever have a chance of getting me on here in terms of horror. And I'm ready to do this. I'm no stranger to Bloody Manors because I work at a haunted house, and this will be fun.
Awesome. Star Drew here says for musicals and Cameron isn't here, then it isn't the show. So already getting love, Cameron. We're gonna go over to Maddie G next. Maddie G, how's it feel to be back? Like I said before with Alan, you're not really back. You're just you've been here, and how's it feel to stretch your legs out into a different room?
It's nice because when Alan the Spaceman got out, he came and cut me down. So it's kind of interesting that we went from, watching killer clowns to watching people sing. So it's nice to actually be able to feel my feet again.
I mean, I'm not making you prisoners, guys. You got free range of the place. We're going over to Caleb. Caleb, this is your first time in the Bloody Manor. How's it feel to now basically be an indentured servant for the rest of your life and afterlife?
Oh, it feels great. Like I've been homeless for the last, 6 months, so it feels really good now. I got a place to stay, little torture rack out back. It feels pretty good.
Absolutely, and I'm so stoked to have everybody here, guys. And we're gonna go down a list of, as I said, this is horror movie musicals. Some of them are a little loosely based on musicals, and some have loose, basic descriptions of horror movies. You'll find out when we go over the reviews. But I'm gonna let each one sell their points. So basically, how this works is I put up anywhere from 3 to 4 movies, and then each one of the panelists puts up an additional movie. I did let one of the panelists before he left put up a movie. I liked it, so we kept it on the list. So I'm gonna go ahead and go over to the first movie.
Yeah.
And, the first
We're
movie
live. You
is
cannot come in here.
Poultrygiest.
I need a question.
What?
I'm just gonna go ahead and do that real quick. All right, until he's done. So we're going over to Poultrygiest. Alan, this was your pick. Out of all horror musicals, you gave us something that was grotesque, something that was borderline very not PC, and something that was demented, if I can say correctly. So I guess it was a horror movie on us to have to watch this movie. So we're gonna go to you first. Pitch this movie a little bit to our people and explain as to the people. Also, real quick, Starger did want to say, hey, Doug, Caleb, and Cameron. I guess Starger's not used to really being on this channel and seeing Alan and Matt, but get used to them because they are a mainstay for Bloody Manor, as well as saying Little Shop of Horror. Come on, number one. I would just say keep your eyes peeled. It's going to be fun. So, again, going over to Alan. Alan, real quick. Poultrygeist. Sell it to the audience Just do a better job than how you sold it to me. Thanks.
Well, I believe my favorite comments after I sprung this upon you was, "Dear God, what are you making me watch?" I think that was my favorite quote from Doug. This movie is a definite love it or hate it. It is everything you just said. It is not PC. It is trauma. And if you know anything about trauma films, the only interest they have is to shocking you and making you laugh or cry, depending on how you take the joke. It's to me, this movie is just outright outlandishness, making the worst commentary on every single topic that was hitting at the time, and just being a total spoof and the ultimate satire. And it's just a lot of fun. The songs are stupid catchy. Slow Fast Food Love is one of the songs that I absolutely love to death, and it's just a lot of fun.
Can we say
and it's
catchy?
everything with a trauma movie.
Can we say catchy? I mean, those. I wanted to rinse my brain. Thank God I didn't watch Anna and the Apocalypse first, because it was a great cleansing. I'm gonna go through. I'm gonna try and remember which panelists have seen it and which have not.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, sometimes these movies are a little harder to catch if it's something that's not right out there. I'm trying to remember who on the panel has seen the movie. You can raise your hand.
I have.
All right, cool. Let's go to Matt. Matt, overall thoughts of Poultrygiest, and if you had a favorite song, go ahead and say what the favorite song is. I will tell you that that girl that becomes a chicken is totally freaky. Freaked me out the entire time. I was like, I need a palate cleanser. Go ahead, Matt.
I didn't tell anybody on the panel how I was going to describe this movie. I'm going to describe this movie like a car wreck. It is so bad you can't look away. I watched it the whole time, and I'm like, this is a bad movie, but I can't look away. My favorite song was probably when Arby gets back from the first semester in college and he finds out that his chick Wendy has hooked up with a lesbian that is a member of Clam, and
No. I can't.
It's a car wreck.
It's a car wreck that you absolutely should avoid. This is not pleasant for the eyeballs. We're gonna go over to Caleb. Caleb, give me some of your thoughts on this movie. I know that. Trust me, guys. We're going down the list. It will be a palate cleanse later. So, Caleb, give me some thoughts on this movie.
It's a car wreck that you absolutely can look away. I started watching this and fell asleep, and then started watching it again, and then put it down, and then started watching it again, and finally finished and was like, okay, that was a total waste of time. It was.
Were you able to get your hour and a half back of your life that you just spent watching that?
I think it rounded up to 2 hours probably, and
I mean, it's probably close to that.
Still traumatized about it, certainly.
Sorry about that, guys. So I'll go next, because I don't think Caleb's seen it. I think you saw a trailer and was like, that's a yikes for me, dog.
Cameron hasn't.
I did it again. I said I wasn't going to do it anymore. I think Cameron hasn't seen it. I'm just going to take a step. So I know that you saw the trailer and you were like, not for me. That's a yikes. That's a big old yikes. Cameron, just give your thoughts of the trailer.
It looks gross. It looks offensive. It looks stupid. It just.
It's everything you want in the movie, right?
It's everything you want.
No.
Okay, so I've been bashing on this movie enough. For me, I've never been a fan of Troma. Any of the Tromaville. I gave Tromeo and Juliet a chance, and it was just super weird and out there. Nothing against anybody that likes it. again, if you like it and it's for you, go and watch it. Film is subjective. You know, everybody has a thing. Our second movie on the list is not for me, but it was for one of our panelists. Very much so. But this movie, yeah, like I said, it's not great. It's very hard to get through. It's slow in pacing, and then when you get to like some of the songs, they're really unrememberable. I remember the scene, but ask me if I remember any of the lyrics. I remember how super racist this movie is. It's really bad. It's really bad. So let's go to the grading. Everybody on the panel has given up their grade, and the grade that it reflects is a D+, and I think that's very generous of this entire panel. So we're gonna go ahead, and I don't want to hold everybody up, so we're gonna just try and not blast through these, but we're gonna try and save one more time. I mean, come on, man! I can't watch it another time. Understood. It pained me to sit through this movie.
Not for everybody.
We're going to.
Okay. Before we change subjects. Hold on. There is something that we need to. There's a rabbit in the movie. There's an elephant in the room. When we talk about this movie, we have to bring up the guy getting the damn mop handle shoved through his ass and out his penis. Like,
listen, let's.
I'm more and more glad I've watched.
I really don't. Starger was out in the comment. He said it is probably Dust Till Dawn 2. Actually, no. I would say Dust Till Dawn 2.
No, Starger, no.
It's not.
Second film on the list, and this was our very own Cameron's. This was Cameron's first pick, because his first pick was originally something that I enjoyed a lot. Malcolm stole the pick. Malcolm isn't here tonight, so Cameron gets 2 picks on this list. So his first pick on the list is Zombies. It is a Disney Channel original movie. Basically, all right, so my premise of this movie, how to pitch it to you perfectly, it's High School Musical in the worst way possible meets West Side Story in the worst way possible. Although I did find this better than Poultrygiest. So, Alan, I'm going to shit on Poultrygiest a bunch tonight, and I'm sorry for that.
It's all right.
But I knocked this down a few more pegs than I probably should have, because it's a classic Disney movie. But for the blatant ripoff of a pop song to be your opening song, while other musics do that, they steal like maybe the melody here and there, but they literally pretty much left the music the same. So I'm gonna go over to Caleb. Caleb, sell this movie. What? Oh my God, I'm doing it. I'm gonna go ahead and leave everybody. I'm going to go ahead and leave everybody's name up so I can just go ahead and make sure that I don't ever do it again. I'll do a quick update and go right back. So Cameron, hate me again. I'm sorry. Go ahead and pitch Zombies to the internet world, as I am the worst person in this chat right now. Oh wait, no, I'm not, because I didn't put Poultrygiest up. So I'm the second worst.
Okay. Is Zombies a good movie? No. Is Zombies a great movie? Yes. Look. Some people have The Room. I have this. It's terrible, and I love it. It's so dumb. You said it's High School Musical in the worst way meets West Side Story. I described it the other day as High School Musical meets the racial allegory through fantasy creatures of Bright, and just hammers it home. There's so many stupid things about it, and I love it. Like, every character who is a zombie has the letter Z somewhere in their name, and like sometimes it's creative, like you have Zoe or Eliza, but then you also have characters like Bonzo, and the main characters are just because the writers are lazy. We're supposed to sympathize with the female lead because her hair is naturally white and she can't dye her hair, and that makes her different. The villain is the head cheerleader of their high school. Their high school's sports team is called the Mighty Shrimp. It's legitimately a horrible, like, racism is bad allegory. Oh man, we're gonna let zombies into the people's school, but they're gonna have a dingy classroom in the basement. But once one of the football, they're gonna start getting more and more privileges. And then zombie boy falls in love with human girl. Also, literally, the soundtrack is 10 songs long. Half of those songs are reprises. Half of them. It is number like cheerleading tryouts, duet between the main characters. We're having a dance party. Reprise of the duet between the main characters, which, by the way, that duet happens like a scene later. Like they sing a song, the next scene they sing a reprise of the same song, and they're both like full length. And then girls' powerful solo where it's the entire scene is just her walking with like an Instagram filter on all the ground behind her, and then it ends with her like taking off her wig, but the wig is her real hair, and then she's wearing the worst wig I've ever seen.
I'd 100% say that's pretty accurate to this movie. 110%.
It's so terrible. I love it so much. I could rant about it forever. And I think the thing that really sucks is like the music isn't like the music is not bad. The music is catchy. The music is enjoyable, and I could listen to it. Yes, it fully rips off other better music, but I like it, and it's a great bad movie, and I love it. Came out last year. I watch every Disney Channel movie with a friend of mine because we either legitimately like them or make fun of them. This is one that we are going to watch a lot and make fun of so much.
Well, a good note for you is that it's getting the sequel in 2020. So,
yes,
I mean, that's plus for you. Listen, the cheerleading song, I actually like that song. I think it was badass. I thought it was interesting. But the rest of them were straight up just repeat and just basically white noise to me because it didn't add anything to the story for me. Going over to let's go over to Matt. Matt, did you catch zombies? If you didn't, do you want to now catch zombies the way that Cameron described it?
I caught parts of zombies. I couldn't find the whole movie because the trailers didn't look that good. So sorry, Cameron. I think I'm gonna pass. But the premise sounds good, so if my son wanted to watch it, we might, but not on my own.
Well, you're unlike me, who sat down and watched this by himself, a grown man. I tried to justify it with my friends because they came into the apartment. They came into the apartment and they were like, "What the hell are you watching?" I was like, something for my show that I got to watch tomorrow. They were like, why? I'm like, I don't know. But let's go over to the actual Caleb. Caleb, did you catch this at all? If you did, thoughts? And if you didn't, do you want to catch it now the way that Cameron pitched it to you?
I did not catch it. I'm not a huge fan of Disney Channel original movies to begin with, and I just couldn't find it. But surprisingly, hearing Cameron talk about it, I do kind of want to check it out now.
All right, and we got a comment. We got another comment.
I mean, it's like Warm Bodies meets High School Musical, which is like I'm kind of there for it.
Except I would definitely more rather go with West Side Story because it's definitely two different parties fighting against each other. Then it's like cool. But no, I totally get the guys saying Warm Bodies meets High School Musical. Warm Bodies is great, except some people are not fans of that ending. Let's go over to Alan, zombies, does it work for you? Does it not work for you? You have kids, so maybe you saw it with your kids.
I have kids, but no, we missed the zombies. But now that Cameron spoke so highly of it, and I appreciate a bad movie. Clearly, Poultrygiest fan right here. I appreciate bad films and their joy that they can bring you. So I'm actually going to check this out. I don't know if my kids will be down, but we'll find out. My daughter's getting into the high school thing because she's 10, so maybe she'll like this one.
So what you're either saying is either you'll have your kids watch it, or you'll become me, the creepy weird guy who watches Disney Channel movies basically by himself. Who forced his niece into watching it, and she watched the first 15 minutes and walked out of the room.
Oh, nice.
That's how I ended up being the creepy guy that watched that. All right. So we're gonna move on to the next film. Enough beating up Cameron and Alan. We're gonna beat up me now because here comes my first pick. Oh wait, actually, let's go ahead and give Zombies its grade real quick. Even though it is what it is, Zombies ended up with a B.
It's a great B movie, so that's perfect.
I'll take that. It's a great B movie. And we're moving on to beating me up now. And we're going to go to Repo, the genetic opera. Now, much saying this movie, I liked this movie when it first came out. I haven't watched it in a few years. And I was like, yeah, Repo's a horror movie type musical. I'll just rewatch it. I'll add it to my list of 3 movies. What we're going to now name Doug's 3 movies are worst, good, and best. That's what we're going to name it. So this is falling in the worst category because I really fell out of love with this movie. My first crush in high school was in this movie. Maybe that's why I like the movie so much. Alexa Vega was phenomenal. And yeah, no. So we're going to go over to Matt holding up the finger at me because he loves this movie. So Matt, you obviously don't think this is the worst pick. You don't think this is a worst pick, so go ahead. I'm going to let you pitch this movie because you like this movie more than I do.
I'm the only person on this panel to give this movie an A. I told a little side story before I pitch this. My ex-wife and I watched this 3 times while she was recovering from having our child at the pediatric ward that she delivered him in. Now, to pitch this movie, let's just be real. It is an opera. They literally sing. Basically, in the year 2050, I believe is when it is, surgeries become norm. You need a new liver? Cool. We'll go down. You can have it. You don't pay the Repo Man shows. Just like you don't pay your car. They take it. But the story also follows Alexa Vega, Repo Man, and she is sick, and he is basically put her in seclusion. So it's him bouncing his wife to pregnancy, which should have hit Mr. Allen there. It hits the horror because he's cutting body parts out of people. It's just an overall, if we're going to talk musical, this hits it perfectly because they literally sing every line of the movie.
Okay, no, I'll give you that. It hits the music. You're not passionate at all about it. I barely heard any passion. While yes, this is it does fall in the liberties of being a musical. But here's the thing: I found that it was a lot of outdatedness, and that's why it didn't fit with me anymore. But we're gonna go over to Caleb. Caleb, and I mean the real Caleb. I promise. The real Caleb. What are your thoughts on Repo, the genetic opera? If you haven't seen it, do you want to see it now? What are your thoughts?
I have seen it. I've seen it a few times. It has been a while, but I enjoyed it every time I saw it. Yeah, I really love this movie. Like particularly Anthony Head in it, like the actual Repo Man guy as the dad and a Repo Man was. I really enjoy the story it told. It loses a few points for having Paris Hilton in it, but
No, not just having her in it, having her singing it.
having her singing it, yeah.
Completely out of tune. Even the auto tune can't fix it. And that's saying
Yeah,
something.
it's real bad.
Going over to Alan. Alan, have you seen this movie? Have you not seen this movie? If you haven't seen this movie, are you gonna check it out because of Matt's suggestions?
I've seen the movie. Right when it came out, I was reading the hype train for it, and then I fell off that train quick about a quarter of the way through. Yeah, it's just generic opera is what it is. It's really really boring. For something about cutting people to pieces and what I would think doing it for noble quote unquote causes. We'll get to a similar film later on. I just thought it was really kind of generic. I mean, none of the music is really that memorable. It feels like it's trying too hard. No offense, but it feels like it's trying too hard. So yeah, it wasn't outlandish enough for me.
Coming from the guy who likes poultry, guys.
Yeah, so we're gonna take everything you got to say with a grain of salt all night now.
Exactly.
We're gonna take everything that you got to say with a grain of salt that should have been sprinkled on Poultrygeist to season it up a little bit. Going over to Cameron, and I mean Cameron this time. I got it right, guys. Cameron, your thoughts on Repo the Genetic Opera? If you haven't seen it, do you plan on seeing it?
I have seen it. I saw it once a while back, probably a year or two ago. It's fine. I think it's interesting, and the novelty of it is good. I think it's a one-time watch for me. I was like, I'll listen to the soundtrack again to sort of refresh myself when we're doing the show. I found so much of the soundtrack really hard to get through. It's like a lot of the soundtrack is just noise. It's very it's overload and there's a lot going on, and almost none of the actors are very good at singing. Anthony Shorthead being like the big exception to that role, him and Alexa Vega.
Hey, Paul Sorvino was pretty good too. As the mob guy? Oh, come on.
I'll disagree, but okay.
Bobby. He's the one that takes his face off.
But it's okay. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I don't really have any feelings towards it whatsoever. Zydrate Anatomy is a cool song, and Night Surgeon is a really good song, but that's really all I got.
I've noticed that this entire album is filled with basically industrial music, and I'm not a big fan of industrial now. I was at one point, I was big into it. You don't want to see those pictures. Those pictures can get scarier than what's going on in Bloody Manor right now.
We do.
No, we're not going to see those pictures. We're not seeing Goth Thug. Goth Thug will never appear again in life at all. So we gave Repo the Genetic Opera a very generic score of C+. As I said, it's very industrial, so it's it can be for certain people if they like that type of music, and they're totally in. The next movie
was very of its time.
The next movie we're going to go to is one of my favorite cult classic movies of all time. And Matt put this up, and I'm so happy that he did, because I definitely should have probably put this movie up instead of Repo. And that is Rocky Horror Picture Show. I'm going to say a few words, and then we'll go to Matt, because it was his original pitch. I fell in love with this movie because how I love, as most of you now know, if you've seen an episode of Bloody Manor, you know how much I love It and Tim Curry's It. And to see him in what was my second movie to pick out, because my mom loves this movie, and a bunch of other adults that I know love this movie, was Rocky Horror. And it's just, to me, one of my favorites. Just due to the uniqueness. If you look at the year this movie came out, how many real films did we have speaking about a transvestite from Transylvania? Not too many. Billy and a Creature of the Night, not too many. The music's iconic. But all right, I'm done talking about it because it wasn't my pick. Matt, sell this movie. Not that you have to, but sell this movie to people. Tell them why Rocky Horror is worth checking out.
Because the movie starts with squares. It takes place in the 70s, I believe, 60s, 70s, maybe even a little earlier than that. This movie follows squares, and they're out in the open, they're out in the middle of nowhere, and then they end up at this mansion, and their car breaks down, so they go to use the phone. And what the hell do they walk into? They walk into a transsexual convention from transvestites from Transylvania. And Dr. Frankenfurter, played by, Mr. Castle's favorite actor, Tim Curry, which, in my opinion,
I just really enjoy Tim Curry.
I think he's actually more known for this than it. Oh, there's a hot take for you. Has created himself a man called Rocky Horror. And, I know, shocker, spoiler! It's considered a horror movie, but you could also classify it as a fan. But out of every movie on this list, I personally think that the music is the most iconic. You say Rocky Horror or play the Time Warp in Halloween, everybody knows it. It's just a jump to the left. And it turns out that Dr. Frankenfurter's right and left hand are out to get him. Meatloaf makes a cameo. He's eaten for dinner. It's so much fun. The sequel sucks. The Fox TV version of it sucks even worse. But
you're crushing Starkey right now. You're crushing Starkey right now. He loved the Fox play of Rocky Horror 2 years ago. Oh man!
Oh, it was almost as bad as Grease. And a little information about me: Grease is in my top 3 favorite movies of all time. I can hear it coming. Bring it, gentlemen. So
wait.
First of
all, 3 movie, like I would say maybe I put it top musicals, maybe 4 for top musicals, not of all time, not movies of all time. I would put Grease maybe 4, just because the iconicness of it. I watched the movie a lot.
There's a story behind. There's a story behind it.
Cameron's face explains it all. He's like, I cannot talk to you anymore. I didn't say of all time. I said musicals just for the iconicness of it. All right, we're wrapping up real quick on that.
Objective, gentlemen.
Let's go over to Caleb, and I mean the real Caleb. Caleb, what are your thoughts of Rocky Horror? And what are your thoughts of that making top 3 for Matt?
I'll go ahead and talk about the movie. I love Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's one of the best things ever to be I just everything, the songs, Tim Curry, freaking the rest of the cast too. You got Brad and I can't think of her name now. Doesn't matter.
Janet.
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 I love you. I've gone to the midnight screenings. I freaking love this movie. It's one of the greatest things to ever happen. And as far as his pick for Grease is top 3, I don't know, man. That's all you, dude. Good for you.
going to Alan. Alan, thoughts on? Also, Star Drew said, "Bring it, Matt," for saying that you didn't like the Fox version. I'm not going to come at you next, Star Drew. I don't like any of the things that Fox or NBC has put on live because it just seems like it's not well done. Let's go over to Alan. Alan, your
Christmas
thoughts
Story.
on Rocky Horror?
Yeah, it's a classic. I mean, it's a classic for a reason. That movie really, there's a reason it gets the midnight screenings and all the audience participation. It's just so much fun. It's earned every second of all those. I've been to plenty of them, just like Caleb. Been to them a lot. I always play Riff Raff when I go because he's my favorite character. It's so much fun. Tim Curry, yeah, it's his. That movie and Tim Curry's saying anticipation really just changed every time I ever hear that word. I don't think about the Carly Simon song anymore. I think about that. So, that says something.
Cameron, and I mean the Cameron this time. I'm going to make this joke probably 50 million more times. Forgive me. Your thoughts on Rocky Horror, and you can say your peace of mind towards Matt with his top 3 of being Grease. This is a horror movie, but maybe we'll have a master here, and then we'll have to have
Rocky Horror. We'll get to the other thing later. I like Rocky Horror. I watched it for the first time earlier this year. Actually, I had never seen it before.
Oh wow!
I really enjoyed it. It's a fun movie. I think like I agree the music is iconic and the music is great. The singing could be better.
Most of the cast, yes.
It's very similar
kind of
to
the
La
point,
La Land
though.
in that way, where the music probably could be great if they cast actors who were good singers. Tim Curry's fantastic. To throw my 2 cents in on the Fox version of it, I like it. I think in terms of the music, it's better than the original, just because they have performers who are actually decent at singing. In terms of overall quality, it's not as good. It's fine. I think my favorite song, I mean, Time Warp is great. If we're going based on the versions in the original film, it's Time Warp. If we're counting the other versions that have been done, the 2016 reboot, I love the version of Sword of Damocles. It's a very, very fun time. Also, Adam Lambert as Eddie is great in that. But this movie's fun. As for the Grease thing, I was on a show a little while ago talking about my top 10 movie musicals. I could have made a list of 20, could have made a list of 30. Grease wouldn't have been on there.
Damn. All right.
I don't like that movie. I think
as per what's now. Per what's done now, Rocky Horror got a grade of B+.
I
which
would
I think
be going to a midnight screening this.
Should have been higher.
I'm working at a haunted house on all of the nights that it's playing. So.
Oh man, if you have a chance, definitely do it. It's worth it. It's such a great experience. Just the experience alone is amazing.
If you get a good cast.
Next we have Cameron's second choice of the night, and one that I didn't know nothing about until I seen Cameron's best musical list, and then I was like, I gotta check this movie out. And then I threw together this episode of Bloody Manor. I was like, I gotta have Cameron on. He's one that kind of throwing this out there, and it's kind of a horror musical, definitely, and it's really good. So I've hyped it up a little bit. And I'm going to tee it over to Cameron. Cameron, pitch Anna and the Apocalypse for the people that may have not seen this movie.
So this is my favorite movie musical. And it only came out, it's been out for less than a year, and it's my favorite movie musical. I spent over a year waiting for this to come out. I heard about it when it started making the festival circuit, and I immediately went, this is a movie I need to see. I got the chance to see it in the theater in my hometown, and I loved it immediately. Like, it's a fun time. For people watching that don't know it, brief idea of the plot. Basically, this girl named Anna lives in like a small town in England, and one night, like the zombie apocalypse breaks out, and then she's trying to get back to her school where her dad works and like some of her friends are, because most of it takes place the day after their like massive Christmas talent show. So there's a bunch of people quarantined in the school, and it's just fun. The music is all great. There's not a single bad song in it. One of my favorite songs isn't actually even in the film. It's the version of "What a Time to Be Alive" that came in the trailer, the orchestral version of it. It's so good and so fun. I love it. It's got heart. It's got amazing comedy. I think Ella Hunt is great as Anna. My personal favorite performance in it is Sarah Swire as Steph. She's just hilarious, and so much at the end when she just shows up in the car, she's like, boom, saved your lives. I'm like lost it. I was dying when that happened. It's fun. It knows what it is. It knows it's cheesy, but still takes itself fully seriously. It's visually great. The music's fantastic. I rewatched it again today on the bus to and from school because I have it on my computer. I love it. It's one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time, and it's going to be a Christmas staple forever for me.
Yeah, definitely. I 100% agree with everything you said. I really enjoyed this movie. I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it or not. You'll notice with me, I haven't announced a lot of my favorite songs. I'm going to announce my favorite songs from now. And you'll notice with me that I'm a big ballad person. I really love the ballad. I did a lot of ballads in high school when I performed, and it was my favorite thing to do. And Human Voices. I thought that was a particularly amazing song. It's like a super like empowering ballad of connection for me. It's like they just want that human connection, and I think this hits on so many different levels. I think it hits on the much to do about what today's modern society is about. Like we're so afraid to be next to one another, and then when something like this happens, you only have the people that are around you to turn to. So I really enjoyed this movie. I can't thank Cameron enough for introducing this movie to me because I really enjoyed the soundtrack. Every track on that is superb. Like I said, I really liked Human Voices. Going over to Alan. Alan, did you check this out? If not, what are your thoughts? Just like every other question. And if you have a favorite song, start throwing them up, guys.
I agree with you. Human Voice is beautiful. Voice is beautiful. This is a great movie. It's really sweet. It's really sweet, and the lead is ridiculous. She is incredible. It just makes you feel good. It is a feel good movie for a movie about zombies and the apocalypse. It's just really a feel good movie. Yeah, I think you guys said it best, Cameron. Your love for it. I think you feel that if you get the opportunity to see it. Whoever hasn't seen it yet will feel the same love. It's a fantastic film. It really is fun.
All right, and going over to Matt. Matt, if you've seen it, tell us what you thought. Any favorite songs? Also, if you haven't, from me and Cameron pitching this movie to you and Alan pitching this movie to you, do you want to see it?
I have seen it. I actually watched it today after Poultrygiest.
Correct order to watch them in.
Correct.
Yeah. Human Voices was great. Like that movie, that song was beautiful. The movie was fun. It's one of those fun kind of, I don't want to say coming of age ish, but you could see the development of the main character through it. I'm stretching when I say coming of age, but I mean she's in the zombie apocalypse. It was fun, and I agree with everybody. I'm so glad you picked this because I'd never seen it, and I can't wait to watch it again.
Yeah, it's absolutely. And I can see where you get coming of age because I mean, there's the whole thing about her saying she wants to go to Australia and not go to college right away.
Yep.
And that's a huge part in it. It's a huge thing about when she lets go of her father. Spoilers, sorry guys. But still watch the movie because that's just a small part, but of a great movie. Go into Caleb. Caleb, your thoughts, and if you haven't seen it, do you want to see it?
I mean, not anymore now that you've spoiled the ending, but no, I haven't seen it, and
Did not spoil the ending.
That is not how that movie
no,
ends.
yeah, I'm very stalled. Yeah, I definitely want to check out this movie. Yeah, I don't have any.
And we're to our first upset of the match, at least by me, because I think this definitely needs to be higher up. Hopefully, people will see it and then change the grade, and then I'll push the grades. Again, but Anna and the Apocalypse got a B plus. I don't think it's terrible. I think it should be more into the A plus era. But that score is what it is. Next up, did you? Just in case, so we don't run out of time, I do want to go to Caleb's pick next. Caleb's pick next, and he threw up Phantom of the Opera. Caleb, I love this movie. I really do. It's one of my favorite musicals on Broadway. I remember going to see it when I was about 15. I wish I had the chance to perform in it because it's just great. As some people don't like Gerard Butler's voice, I do like Gerard Butler's voice in this movie. I think he does a superb job. We're going to go review, pitch this movie to anybody that hasn't seen it, and explain why you put this choice up.
Whew, geez. If you haven't seen Phantom of the Opera, you should. It's a it's a classic story. It's literally one of the Universal horror movies. It's been done a million times, but particularly this one I thought did really well. They kind of cut around some of the more boring elements of it and bring it down to it's the story of Christine, this girl who wants to be, the opera star, or aspires to it. You set up immediately her world. She's just a background dancer, singer. There's a horrible diva played by Minnie Driver, who is actually pretty great in this movie, I think. They set up so many things. And I don't know, it's just a beautiful, weird story. It's not exactly horror other than the fact that it is a Universal horror movie. There's not anything really there's a lot of macabre elements and sounds, but there's not anything horrific happening on screen. Gerard Butler plays the Phantom. He's a disfigured man who writes music and conspires to make Christine the best by any means necessary because he's in love with her.
Absolutely. And, I can actually say that this is probably like a gothic horror. I mean, if you look at it, it's pretty much like gothic horror. So one thing that everybody needs to know on Bloody Manor, horror doesn't just mean jump scares. It does mean the uneasiness, the thrillers are tossed in that. So I very much accepted this, just like I accepted Poultrygiest, just like I accepted Zombies. There's something about those movies that are in the realm of horror, whether they have creatures or whether they have really disgusting viewpoints of the world, like Native Americans or indigenous people. So we're going over to Alan first. Alan, Phantom of the Opera. Thoughts? I'm pretty sure you've seen it. If you haven't, what's wrong with you? You saw Poultrygiest before you saw Phantom of the Opera. Just saying. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on Phantom of the Opera?
I'm not a big fan of Phantom of the Opera, any of the incarnations, with the exception of the really horrific Robert Englund non-musical version, which is atrocious. And it's so bad it's bad.
I actually love that version too.
Nice. I know why it gets the love that it does, and I do appreciate, the love and the gothic, as you were saying, Doug, nature of it, and the aspects of it. Story, but I just really not really big
version of it. Particularly in Gerard Butler. Great action star.
Don't you dare hate on this. Don't hate on this singing voice. Go watch P.S. I Love You and tell me you don't cry when he sings. Oh. Right.
Like, I thought particularly with Emmy Rossum, like they fit so perfectly. If you ask me.
Going over to Cameron. Cameron, I promise not to confuse you during this role. Thoughts on Phantom? Where I'm sure you've seen it as a musical person. Thoughts?
Yeah, I really like. There's a lot to like about this movie. There's some problems with it, and there's some things that I personally just don't like that sort of take it down for me. I think the music in it is fantastic. Andrew Lloyd Webber is great at writing musicals that aren't Love Never Dies or Cats.
Whoa!
If you've never seen Love Never Dies, the sequel to Phantom of the Opera, it's terrible. It's awful. I think Emmy Rossum is great. I think Gerard Butler gives a good performance, and his singing voice, like, it's not amazing to me, but it's not bad. Like, it gets by. The biggest strike against this movie for me is that Patrick Wilson is in it. I just hate Patrick. I don't know why, but I do. Like, every time he shows up in a movie, I just groan, and I'm like, oh, him. I love Minnie Driver in this movie. She's fantastic. She's hilarious.
She's great.
I'd say for favorite song in it, like they're all really good when Patrick Wilson isn't involved in them.
That's a fair assessment.
I really like the original song written for the credits, "Learn to Be Lonely" in this. I think that one's beautiful, sung by Minnie Driver. I would also say I'm a big fan of Prima Donna, just like one of the big group numbers. I'm like, this is fun and I enjoy it. And of course, you've got Phantom of the Opera, Music of the Night. They're all classics. Like, it's great. I prefer the stage version, but the movie's fun. Last time I watched it, I was at my friend's house until 2 a.m. because we had just finished performing in a musical theater like charity banquet, and then they were doing an after party, and we went, nah, let's not go to that. Let's go to your house and watch Phantom of the Opera instead.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Yes. So I forgot to mention my favorite song from Phantom, and that's "Music of the Night." Going over to Matt. Matt, have you seen it? Have you not seen it? If you haven't, what the hell's wrong with you? No, I'm just playing. But tell us your thoughts.
Wait, we're not talking about the Robert Englund one? What the fuck? No.
There's no music in that?
No, I absolutely love this movie. In my opinion, the Phantom of the Opera song itself, sung by Jerry B, is awesome. I actually like Patrick Wilson in this movie. I like the whole cast. And I would consider it a gothic, so it would fit the horror theme, which is what more common horror is based off of the mythology from Gothic tales. So it just, oh my God, there's no scary jump out shit. I don't really have anything else to say. You guys have said damn near everything I would have. Hey. It's an awesome movie.
It's okay.
And damn it, Gary B is awesome in it.
It's okay. We know who Alan and Cameron like in their movie musicals, and that would be Mr. Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
He's not good in that movie, but he's not as bad as everyone thinks he is.
Come on.
Let's keep in mind that he's not terrible. But let's keep in mind that Alan chose Poultrygiest.
All right, and we're gonna go ahead and give Phantom a B- on this movie. Next is 3 movies that I chose. One last minute entry, which we all didn't think about, we all blanked about, and we were like, no, we got to include it because if we don't, riots will occur. So let's go to my first pick, and this is a part of the good section. Even though it actually got lower than the worst section. I don't know how, but yeah, I'll go ahead and say it. Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. When I first saw this movie, I fell in love with this movie. It was everything that I wanted. There's differences in the Broadway play, versus the musical itself. But overall, the heart of the musical is still there. If that makes any sense to people, I think it very much. My Friend is my favorite song in that musical version. It's a super solid, followed by Joanna, or oh my God, Pretty Women. Yeah, no, that's pretty hard. It's pretty hard in there. Those are my top three. I'm gonna give my top three for this movie. I genuinely love the horror and the gore, and I'm not a big gore nut, but I genuinely like when he like just and then down they go. Slits the throats and down they go. It's great. We're gonna go ahead and pass this over. I started with Alan last time. I don't remember who I started with. Let's just go back to Alan again. Alan, thoughts on Sweeney Todd? Have you seen it? Have you not seen it? Do you want to see it?
I've seen it. Again, Sweeney Todd. You know, I'm a theater guy, so I've seen all of the musicals, particularly Sweeney Todd. I've seen many versions of it, and the Tim Burton version is my least favorite because I am the anti. Well, let's just say I hate Tim Burton. Period. Point blank. End of story. Give me Ed Wood, and that's it. Everything else, no good.
Batman 89?
God, I guess this is full of hot takes.
Sorry. Cameron, don't hate me, baby. Don't hate me. I see your face. He's frozen in time with hatred.
He's now officially serious.
Cameron should be blown up.
Guys, again, we're going to remind you that Alan's pick was Poultrygiest. So if you watch that movie, take a grain of salt. We're gonna
Classic piece of shit.
Go to Cameron. Sweeney Todd, thoughts on it? I know that you've seen it, so thoughts on it.
Yeah, this is another one that I watched for the first time earlier this year. I actually watched it, I think, like a month and a half ago for the first time for the movie musicals episode of Take Three, or not Take Three, of Your List Sucks, and I really enjoyed it. It's fun. I really like Tim Burton, if you couldn't tell by horrified expression when Alan said he hates him, but we'll get to that once I'm finished talking about Sweeney specifically. I think it's really good. Johnny Depp is really good in this movie, and I think he deserved to get nominated for an Oscar for his performance. I think the music is fantastic, but then again, when you're doing Sondheim, it's hard to have bad music. There's occasional problems, like Into the Woods is almost never done. Into the Woods is, the movie at least, is bad. My favorite song on the soundtrack is I love Joanna so much. It's such a beautiful ballad, and the singing on the version of the movie is fantastic. I think it's incredible. I'm a big Tim Burton fan. This is probably up there on his movies for me. Alan, dude.
Just leaving it as Alan, dude.
Like, you don't like Big Fish, you don't like Edward Scissorhands, you don't like Big Eyes was a recent one that I really enjoyed. You don't like Corpse Bride. You don't like
I'll give you Beetlejuice. I'll give you Beetlejuice.
All right, you're on trial, good sir. We're gonna move down.
Give me Beetlejuice.
Matt, thoughts on Sweeney Todd? Have you seen it? Have you not seen it? Did you enjoy it? Would you want to see it now on me and Cameron's recommendation, not Alan's recommendation?
First, Alan, I will raise you Beetlejuice with Batman 89. I like Tim Burton.
Batman Returns.
I like Tim Burton. I some of his movies hit, some of them miss. Sweeney Todd, in my opinion, was good. I mean, I enjoyed it. I love the fact that it does have the gothic feel, like we talked about with Phantom of the Opera. My favorite song is Pretty Women. I love the back and forth with Johnny Depp and Alan Rickman. Alan Rickman, in my opinion, steals the show.
I'll give you that.
I enjoyed it. It was fun. Some of it could have been cut down a little more. It got kind of a little too out there for Tim Burton, but I enjoyed it. It's fun.
Wait a second. Correction. Too out there for Tim Burton? I don't think he has a limit. I'm just saying. I don't think he does. Let's go to Caleb. Caleb, thoughts on Sweeney Todd, and what you thought. Yeah. You're on mute, Caleb. Caleb, you're muted.
Apologies. My first introduction to Sweeney Todd was actually in the movie Jersey Girl.
My man.
And then,
listen.
then so I went and have seen it, and I really actually enjoy the movie as well. My favorite song I think is "By the Bay." I really enjoy that song. Get a little in depth with Helena Bonham Carter and Johnny Depp. It's a lot of fun. I like that song. It's one of the few movies that I like Sacha Baron Cohen in. So there's that. And Alan Rickman was amazing. Helena Bonham Carter is great. I just really like that movie. Would go out on a limb here. I didn't actually care for Joanna or that character all that much, but everything else was really good.
Oof, that's an oof. That's a yikes for me, dog. So that's gonna since you named Alan Rickman, I definitely think Jamie Campbell Bauer definitely deserves a little bit of recognition. His portrayal of Anthony was great in this movie. Yeah, I think it was great. So we're gonna go ahead and give the grades. I think this is another travesty. That Sweeney Todd got a C minus or C plus. Sorry, I almost gave it less of a score. C plus. So next up was one that we kind of not forgot about, but
real quick, I gotta dip out, guys. Sorry.
Okay, not a problem. Okay, we already know. Did you want to take a quick second to talk about Nightmare Before Christmas and Little Shop of Horror, or you want to bounce? Your choice.
Sure. Little Shop of Horrors is a classic. It's a fantastic movie. I think Dentist is one of my favorite, or Skid Row is probably some of the greatest music. Just the parts and the harmony. It's all so freaking good. I mean, Feed Me Seymour. I freaking love Little Shop of Horrors, and Nightmare Before Christmas. I had to stop myself from making your mistake. It's really good. I don't know. I don't care for the music as much as a lot of people. It's not one of my favorites animated movies, like a lot of people would say. I really enjoy the story. It's a great movie. It's just not that up there for me. I think I gave it a B.
Absolutely. Hey, listen, just plug something where people can find you, and then you can bounce, good sir. And we appreciate you being here. You can go to your room down the hall and close yourself in if you need to.
Yeah, sounds good. Be sure to lay on my bed of nails. You could, if you're into bad punk music, you can find my band, the Beta Waves, on Facebook, Spotify, Bandcamp, other places. We're doing stuff. If you're in the Chicago area, you can come see us. We're playing shows all the time. And if you're into movie trivia and you're not already playing in other places, or if you are playing in other places and just want to play some more, come check out Jack of All Trivia. We're still doing that, and it's fun.
Absolutely, Caleb. I appreciate being part of this. You can now officially go ahead and head to your room with your nail bed.
I kind of have to run off too.
You have to leave as well.
I have to get. Yeah, I got to get the kid medicated and everything.
Okay. All right. So, just a brief. What you feel about Little Shop and Nightmare Before Christmas?
Little Shop of Horrors was the first actual horror movie I saw as a kid. Aubrey is probably a classic movie monster of all time. Feed Me Seymour. Love it. Rick Moranis is great in it. Nightmare Before Christmas is watched multiple times in my house, always will be, because it's not just a Halloween movie or a Christmas movie, it's an all year movie. That was not directed by Tim Burton, but it feels like it should have been. I gave it an A. It is probably one of my all-time favorite animated movies of all time. You can find me on Facebook at Matt Graham. I usually live in the Manor, so I guess if somebody decides to show up, you can come catch me hanging around. Alan, Poultrygiest, we'll talk about another time, buddy.
All right, well, you got a nice little send off from Star Drew there. Totally disagree with most of your opinions. Sorry, Matt. So, Matt, go ahead and
Whatever,
enjoy
homie.
hanging around, and we'll catch you next time on the Bloody Manor. All right, down to 3 as we go into this last little bit. We are going to go ahead and talk about a little movie called Nightmare Before Christmas. We all kind of didn't mean to overlook this movie, but sometimes you don't think of it as a horror musical just because it's a kid movie. But it very much has the very feel of horror. I think the songs, unlike Caleb, are very rememberable. They're very catchy. They're in your head, and I think it's just one of my favorite animated movies of all time. I think the characters build up are great. I think the remorse that Jack shows at the end shows his character growth that he's not the most important person. Let's go over to Cameron first, since I went to Alan first last time. Cameron, thoughts on Nightmare Before Christmas?
I love this movie. This is one that I watch every Halloween season. My best friend's favorite holiday is Halloween, and every Halloween we have a party at her house and we play some games and we watch a movie. And almost always it's either this or Corpse Bride. Nice. I love it. The music is fantastic. Danny Elfman as Jack Skellington is great. My personal favorite song is Oogie Boogie's song.
Yeah.
Ken Page is fantastic as it. I also love it because it's a fun bass song where you get to do a cool voice, and as a bass singer I can actually sing that song and none of the other songs in that movie. It's the most Tim Burton-y movie, despite the fact that it was not directed by Tim Burton, but it was based on a poem that he wrote that's 3 pages. I love it. I love stop motion as an art form. It's just so good. It's just so good. It's in my top 100 favorite movies of all time for a reason.
Absolutely. Alan, now, not being a Tim Burton movie, but you're not a fan of Tim Burton, so did you like Nightmare Before Christmas?
I do. I actually like this a lot. It's beautifully animated. It's so much fun. You get a lot of surprising depth and growth with Jack as he goes through his journey. And I just love the blending, the idea of all these different, Halloween Town, Christmas Town, all these different areas, these different things. And it's a journey through all of them, and it's a lot of fun. It's really it deserves to be a Christmas classic, a Halloween classic for a reason, because it's almost note perfect. And I was surprised that I like it so much because of the Tim Burton association.
No, actually, I 100% agree with you, except for not liking Tim Burton. Just giving it out there, it's insane. I really like this movie. I know I talked about this. The grade that we came to a consensus, just because Caleb gave it a B, we are now down to an A- for that. I miscalculated the next movie that we're giving. It actually ended up with a higher score. So everybody, please be happy with that. So the next movie that we're going to talk about is one of my favorite musicals of all time. People ask me why I like Hercules so much. And it's because the type of music that's in Hercules, when it gives the narrative. The next movie that we're going to talk about is what I like to call a doo-wop musical. It very much has the feel of doo-wop when you listen to a lot of the songs in it. And that's when I go to music to listen to, I like that era of 50s, 60s Motown, that feel that it gave you, that soul that it gave you, and very much so. This movie had a lot of soul, had a lot of people that were like, yeah, I like this movie a lot. This is one of my favorite musicals of all time, and that is Little Shop of Horror. I can't sell this movie enough. If you haven't seen this movie, I don't know what else to tell you about going to see this movie. It has space creature coming down to Earth and devouring humans. It has Rick Moranis. It has Steve Martin playing a little sadist, Dennis. One of my favorite songs, obviously, with going forward, I told you guys ballads are my stuff. And Suddenly Seymour is such a beautiful, beautiful duet. If we're going over other songs, Skid Row is amazing. That's one of my favorites. Pulling up the soundtrack right now because I'm a dude. Dadu is amazing of a song when he just talks about the plane. And of course, you can't go wrong with friggin' Dennis itself. Just be a Dennis. And Bill Murray in the chair. So, yes, I know that I glamour about this a little bit. Let's go ahead and let Alan talk about Little Shop of Horror. Alan, we pretty much all gave this the same grade. One was a minus, one was a plus. Actually, there was no minuses. It was all A's. I read my thing wrong. And then somebody gave it an A plus. And I think that was either Cameron or Alan. Anyway, it was Alan that gave it an A plus. I'm guessing this is one of his favorite musicals as well. Alan, sell it to the people that have not seen it. I don't know who hasn't seen it, but sell it.
Well, yeah, I love the way you sold it because it is a doo-wop musical. To be honest, I am not a big fan of musicals because I'm a theater guy. I've been a theater guy my whole life. My wife, polar opposite, she does musicals. She has played Audrey 3 times, and it is beautiful every single time she does it. This is my favorite musical, hands down, period, because the songs are fun. They're memorable. Suddenly Seymour is beautiful. Grow for Me is an absolute classic song. Yeah. And one thing that I think the movie does, it actually improves on the stage version with the ending. I mean, Big Green Mother from the end of the movie, the Plans Final song is absolutely fantastic. And going back to what Cameron said about the Oogie Boogie song from Nightmare Before Christmas, that one, it's such a fun, thrilling, exciting song. And the voice cast as far as for the Plants is perfect. The cast, it's the only movie that, as far as a movie version of a stage musical, Mushnik is not a great character in the stage musical, but the movie version of Mushnik is fantastic, and he's a perfect foil for Seymour until the final, get eaten. It's just, there's nothing but good things to say about this movie. It's fantastic. It's beautiful, wonderful. It's always fun, and I love it.
All right, let's go over to Cameron. Cameron, your thoughts. I mean, I think everybody has the same thoughts of this. They're kind of just gushing over this. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I loved it. This is another one that I watched for the first time earlier this year. Also watched it in preparation for your list, and it jumped immediately onto my list of my favorite movie musicals at number 4. Like it jumped after one viewing, and I loved it. I think it's so good. I think that the original ending, the good ending, and by the good ending I mean the ending where things go terribly for everyone, is the only ending that should be watched. I watched both of them, and the happy ending sucks. Like it's fine, but like it's boring, and I don't care. Like it's just like, oh, everything worked out for everyone. Woo. No. I love the ending where just everything goes horribly wrong. Evil plant takes over the world. Levi Stubbs as the voice of Audrey 2 is fantastic. Mean Green Mother from Outer Space is my favorite song in that whole soundtrack. I absolutely love it. I listen to it all the time. a fun fact I read about it is that it's one of only 2 villain songs to ever be nominated for Best Original Song.
Yep.
Other one is Blame Canada from South Park.
From South Park.
Throwing a shout out to Brian.
But like, also, Mean Green Mother should have won. It lost to Take My Breath Away from Top Gun, which is ridiculous. It's so good. It's so I can't tell if he means that I want the ending that he thinks is terrible quality, or if I want the ending that for the characters. I want the ending that's bad for the characters because it's a more interesting, more fun ending.
More interesting ending, yeah.
It's the way it ends is just fantastic. I love it. Rick Moranis is great. The only thing that held it back from being an A+ for me is like, I do have to take both endings into account, and the one lowers it just a bit for me. And also, at times, like, Ellen Green's voice just gets a little grating to me. It's as a singer, she's beautiful. As a singer, she's amazing. Just her voice is always that high pitched, like, nasally, just a little bit. Like,
she changes it for the musical itself. Like,
it slightly gets on my nerves in the film. But it's the most minor thing. Suddenly Seymour is a beautiful, beautiful song, and I love it so much. Just this whole. I know.
I love it.
Musical for the first time in a month.
So he's talking about the one that everyone dies.
The one that everyone dies. Better ending. It's more interesting. It's more fun, and it's not just, oh, look, we defeated the creature. It's like, oh, no matter what you do to defeat the creature, you can't, because society's trash and they'll do whatever it takes to make money.
So, with that being said, it did not skate by at all. I am not sorry about this grading. I'm super happy with this grading, and that is an A+. It is the only A+ to make the list. Again, we'll go over the list itself. Poultrygiest got a B+. I don't know how. Zombies got a B, which is pretty good for a Disney movie. Repo the Genetic Opera got a C+. Rocky Horror got a B+. Oh wait, let's go with Sweeney Todd first. Sweeney Todd got a C+. And then the Apocalypse, which is a travesty, got a B+. I can't hype that movie up enough, along with Cameron. That movie needs to get a better grade. Then we got Phantom with a B-. We have Nightmare with an A-, and to top it all off, we have Little Horror with an A+. That's wrapping it up. We're up to the wrap-up section. As always, I enjoy the show. It lets me have the ability to talk about something that I really love, which is horror movies, and take a deconstructed look at it, and have a roundtable discussion, which I really love. Even with all the campiness of me saying that none of these people get to leave after they sign up the blood oath, we're going to go over, I will say, for Matt and Caleb, thank you for being a part of the show. I hope your rooms are not comfortable, and I hope they're really, you don't like them, because that's what I'm all about here, torture. But Alan, we'll go to you first. Alan, where can the people find you besides your room at the Bloody Manor?
Besides my room at the Bloody Manor, you can find me on the Facebooks, on the Nerd Fights, and you can find me just going to watch all the horror movies that I can, because I love the genre so much, and I like being a part of the Manor because we get to live in that genre for a little bit of time, so it's fun.
Absolutely, at least.
Oh, and one more thing, Poultrygiest. All right.
Do not see that movie, even though it's free on YouTube. It's free on YouTube. Don't do it. Don't do it to yourself.
To every possible group of people, Alan.
It does offend every possible group of people.
It's an equal opportunity offender.
I'll give you that. The subtitle of the movie, Poultrygiest, equally offending every person on the world.
Pretty much.
Cameron, this was your first time at the Bloody Manor. I hope it's not your last. I know that you're not a big fan of horror, but maybe we'll get you back for something else. But it's been a pleasure. Tell the people where they can find you. Yeah.
Yeah, you can find me over on Full Metal Trivia. Every Sunday, I run Full Metal Classics. So if you're interested in getting into a match of movie trivia, check out our Facebook page. I put the sign-up post up this afternoon. You still got like 12, 16 hours left to sign up if you want to play. You can find also over on Full Metal, I just made my singles debut. Go check it out. It was a really great match between me and Jay Burns. It was a really fun time. I won't spoil how it went. You can find me coming soon to Multiplex in both Fandom Fights and Movie Warzone. Not sure when those are going to be going up, but we're filming them soon. You can find me occasionally appearing on shows here on Take 3 over on Multiplex on Full Media, on Full Metal Media. It's highly unlikely you'll find me back on this show. I'm not really a horror guy. This was a very niche topic that I'm happy to be able to work with. If we ever do it, if we can do an episode in honor of Zombies 2,
I'm not. We'll do like a whole episode of zombies and get predictions for zombies too.
We do like Halloween Town. If we do Halloween Town, I'd be down for that.
I might do a Disney horror. I'm just throwing it out there. I might.
Yeah.
So telling Alan real quick something. You got somebody to go watch it for you. Yay! And Star Drew also said that he's not surprised that it got an A+. Very much so, guys. And as always, you made it through this episode of Bloody Manor. Good luck next time.